Yo, yo, yo!
Come on.
Another episode.
They thought we was done, but we're not done yet.
We're not done yet. We're just getting warmed up.
But we're not done yet.
Yes, my people. Welcome to That Play Store, where we break down, we discuss, and deliberate all things that are digital currency and decentralized finance. We get to pick the brains of some of the most influential and prominent minds in the industry.
Yes.
I'm Anton McKenzie, and I'm here with my brother today, Joel King, and we are here to get you more decentralized. Sorry, my dog. Sorry. Get down. Sorry. Stop.
Then dog's excited to see you. Just come home.
Yeah, stop, man. Stop.
Yeah.
Please. Yes. Sorry, viewers. Sorry. If you got a dog, then you know how it is. But yeah, I'm excited today. DAOs. One of my favorite episodes, to be honest. One of my favorite topics. I'm so excited. We get to talk about DAOs, and we get to talk to someone who is prominent and knows exactly what he's talking about. Tyler Penning, who is the CMO of DAOs. You know what I'm trying to say? So he's going to give us some insight and give us his knowledge and what he thinks about DAOs and the ecosystem, how it's going, some of the recent escapades that's been happening recently. They call it a DAO apocalypse. I want to pick his mind and see what he thinks about things like that. But me as a whole, I'm bullish on the whole DAO thing. I love DAOs. I like DAOs. They're going to take over, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. As you know, obviously, we're trying to make that Play Store eventually turn into a DAO as well, where the whole community can get involved.
Exactly.
I think decentralization is definitely the way it's heading.
I feel like even the fact that an organization can be autonomous and be run by something that's autonomous is just crazy. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like 5 years ago, someone said that to you, you'd be like, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
You get me? So it's just crazy that it's actually coming in fruition. And it's coming all together, man. It's crazy. But what news you got for me, my brother?
Bro, there's all kinds of news going on. There's all kinds of news. Like the tangible aspects, there's Planet Watch, there's Helium. There's new projects coming out like that. Do you know what I'm going to say to you? I don't want to say because it's not financial advice, as we like to say, but there's some new ones coming out. But Planet Watch. Do your own research. Yeah, there's a lot of companies that are coming out right now that I like still. So, yeah, man. Okay,
so what? Just a quick explanation of this Planet Watch and this Helium thing. What is it?
So Planet Watch it's a built-in smart contract, right? And they've got manufacturers where they've got a device that ships out to people. It's an air quality measurer, so it measures the quality of air. It sends back the data to Planet Watch. They sell the data, and then they give like 80% to their customers, and 20% goes back to the team. So it's just a little device. As
in money, so you can monetize from it, yeah?
Yeah, they give you back their native token. They give you back their token. A little cash flow, but obviously tokens go up and down, things of that nature. But yeah, it's good, man. I'm still waiting on. I'm waiting on my devices now. I'm waiting on the Type 1 and the Type 3.
Okay. So, and with these devices, do you need to like set it up and do anything, or you just set it up?
You buy a license. Obviously, you buy a license, you get the device, you plug the device in. Once you connect the license via their app, it's all good to go from there. You just start getting the cash flow. That's what I love about this whole blockchain space, man. These are just new things that happen. There's going to be even bigger things that just once you can
exactly
don't think about it too much. I got some few ideas myself we're trying to implement into what we're doing, but we're gonna talk about that one after. But let's get into the show. Yeah, let's run through our sponsors first. We got a sponsor.
Oh yeah, let's not forget our sponsors. That Play Store.
Welcome to That Play Store, the DApp marketplace with everything for everyone, as well as people who are not too familiar with what dApps are. And if that's so, make sure I'm reading this right. DApps are like normal apps. Difference is they can only be built on blockchain smart contract networks. There's NFT marketplace dApps, social networking dApps, gaming dApps, finance dApps, also known as DeFi, that's what that means, and decentralized exchanges. Basically, the same apps that are on your phone, just decentralized. And That Play Store has them all. From gambling to music, metaverse experience, even some awesome projects from Justin Khan. So no matter what you're looking for, you'll find it here. We even show the entire DApp performance history, whether they have tokens, 24-hour trading volume, and how to connect to their community. You don't even need crypto. I mean, it's cool if you got some, but you don't need it. On that Play Store, you bring what you have and you'll find something here that fits you best. That Play Store is also pretty great for creators. We have a feature that allows you to edit and create blockchain games without having to know all that technical crypto stuff. We help you get more money in your wallet as well by introducing you to reward-based dApps, whether it be play to earn, yield farming, or staking platforms. No matter if you're a consumer or creator, you have the power to personalize your space however you want. So your profile is just a symbolization of you. That Play Store, that marketplace with everything. I know I said that twice, but I was supposed to. Download now.
Yes, what's going on?
How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good, man. Can't complain. Just hanging out on the 30th floor in my condo in Dubai. Thanking God.
Nice.
You can't blame me.
Yep.
You're in Dubai, yeah? What time is it over there right now?
It is 6:20.
6:20.
Okay, and how long you been in Dubai for?
I've actually only been out here for about a week. I'm born and raised and from Las Vegas, so it feels like home, except there's an ocean right across my balcony on the other side. So it's like one view, I got the Burj Khalifa and all the insane architecture downtown, and then out the balcony, I got the ocean view, it's just nuts.
Crazy views are crazy.
Okay, so if you want to just introduce
Tyler, let's introduce Tyler Penning, Web3 wizards. From Muggle to Meta, I would like to say, over 5 years of blockchain experience, from GPU mining to cross-chain interoperable custom builds, the COO of DAO, the Chief Marketing Officer of Silicy, and NFT innovator.
Give up for Tyler Penning, guys.
Let's give up a round of applause. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I appreciate the intro, guys.
Come on, we're doing our research. You're doing our research. You have to check.
We're doing a lot, man. We're excited. We're excited to dig deep into things. But just for our viewers, so Tyler, if you could just paint a picture to the viewers. Who is Tyler Penning? How did you get into the space? How did you get to where you are today in a condo on the 30th floor? Just paint that picture to us, bro. To our viewers.
Well, man. How long do we have today? Because this might take a while.
You've got time. Don't worry about it.
I'm just kidding, man. Honestly, a lot of people are surprised by, when you look at my background. I come from blue collar, normal middle America. My parents were entrepreneurs. My dad worked, construction, was in the union, and my mom owned a business my whole life. So I got to see that duality of working for somebody and working for yourself, and then, but not necessarily having, the ability to really fully build out a team. It was more of a sole proprietorship with, hands here and there coming in and out. And then, so, growing up in Vegas, it's an interesting town to get your moral compass in, right? So, I graduated from UNLV, which is the Running Rebels, and I've kind of been a rebel my whole life. I've always kind of, taken a different path than most. I was an athlete, but I was also an academic. I really like to go out and have a good time with my friends, but I'm also, an introvert as well that likes to spend time digging into, macro, microeconomics, crazy stuff, all of politics, everything you can get your hands on. I'm a student, period, first and foremost, but, I'm also a humanitarian. Vegas gives you definitely a real sense of diversity, right? I have friends with all walks of life, all socioeconomic classes. People come and go in that town. I humble beginnings, man. I just literally, I've worked for 3 Fortune 500 companies over my course. I've owned my own business when I was finishing up my degree. And it took me 8 years to get my bachelor's, working full time, doing school at night. So, really appreciating the grind and the hustle. To get where you want to be and put in the work, to get the things that you want out of this life, right? So many people want things for free yesterday, but the struggle and strife is what makes it all worth it, man. So, it was pretty crazy. So fast forward a little bit, over my decade of my working career, the last 2, I was working for an organization in a, C-suite level type of role. I was dealing with, decision makers at the highest level from casino properties and stuff like that. And then the pandemic hit, and I was there for just about 2 years. And it was just crazy, the dynamic in the years, from onboarding, loving it, and then the pandemic hitting, and then seeing, everything that's wrong with corporate America and the structures of just traditional business as is, right? Like, it's just so archaic. There's not really much fluidity. You can't pivot. Everything's shareholder oriented. A lot of people talk people over profits, and people are assets in our investment. But to me, it's a dog and pony show. And it doesn't matter what organization it is. The shareholder dollar is always going to come first. People are always secondary. And it really showed me that, because I was doing everything in my capacity. We delivered great financial results, but I was getting frustrated in the way things were going and the way the corporation was handling things, and it essentially led me to getting fired. They thanked me for my services, handed me a check, and told me to leave. And I was like, wow, which I didn't anticipate, right? Because I was being feisty. Don't get me wrong. I was definitely pressing in every capacity and running that rebel vibe that I have. But at the same time, it was with their best interest at heart, with customers' best interest at heart, with my people's best interest at heart. And it really just kind of hit home. And then now we've got this whole concept of the Great Resignation and all this stuff going on. But through that time frame, like you said in my intro, go back 2017, I was hands-on with GPU mining, CPU mining, kind of touched everything that was touchable back in 2017, 2018, in the pre-ICO days, or the ICO boom. But then 2018 came, the bear market happened, and everything was still very much so theoretical. But over the last 2 years, everything's been turning on. More blockchains rolling out, next gen tech, one right after another, decentralized applications rolling out one right after another. And that's really what, allowed me to, stake a claim in the space. I've been lucky to find some just amazing humans on LinkedIn. LinkedIn honestly kind of changed my life. Most people think about it as a place to get a job, have just a working profile, not a social media platform. But man, the minute I went through the Anthony Pompliano Crypto Academy, which highly recommend to anybody, watching and your viewers. It's definitely a great place. Like, if you don't have a base layer and you're looking to, get orange pill, learn about Bitcoin, and then get a broad brush view of everything that is Web3, and do it in a cohort-based learning environment where when you have peers with you, you're going, it's multiple weeks. But at the time, and still, there's some great stuff, especially a few things I'm involved with that are coming out in the education space. But one of the few badges of honor that had any credibility from any kind of public facing figure with Pump, right? So once I got that and put that on my profile and started networking, and looked around on LinkedIn, I was like, man, there's nobody besides like Dan Held talking about Bitcoin, let alone NFTs, Web3, DAOs, and I mean, I just got lucky in the sense that right place, right time. And I was able to create a group called Reorg Rise of the DAO. And I did it for a couple of reasons, man. I wanted people to be able to have a place to come and learn, right? Like, there's a lot of, working professionals on LinkedIn, C-suite level leadership, stuff like that. And DAOs at their core, they're about, reshaping the way humans organize and work together, and integrating technologies, but also, ensuring that people have a fair, equitable voice, that they can work in a capacity that, makes sense to them. So I made this group for, I just literally, it's been just super organic. Like, LinkedIn's features for sending outbound requests, they don't work very good. People miss them. I don't know if they've tweaked them or whatever, but literally built this thing personal message by personal message, seeking out the projects and the people that I was found of, like, from in the space from my time doing research. And actually, that's what got me out to Dubai. I'm working with one of my favorite projects, the CEO. She's having an insane event here, about 3 weeks, 2022, called Superverse. And we're looking to turn this into a DAO post event, and allow the community to essentially be able to dictate and control the direction that this goes, how it expands, the speakers, the events, where it's going to be held, that kind of stuff. So just being able to apply this to a real world use case, it's been fantastic, man. And be able to meet people that are just like idols or mentors, things like that. And the group has just become this self-sufficient organism of, I call it a cross-disciplinary, multi-vertical incubator community, because like we literally have everything. Devs, people from Web2, people from legacy businesses across every industry, and then Web3 projects at the highest order, people from Chainlink, Boson Protocol, you name it, and then upstarts, founders, angels, VCs, like the whole deal, like everything one would need is in this community. So it's been really fun, man, just to get to this point. And now I'm on like 7 projects that I advise for. And really the biggest thing, going back to that rebel model, right? It's like, it's up to us to change the world, be the change you want to see, stand behind the things that we want to like see out in the world. And that's the things I support, trying to bring provenance back to the creators, use blockchain tech, not to get rich and turn a quick dollar, but to actually impact people's lives and bring the tech in a capacity that actually drives meaningful change. So it's just been so fun, man, the amount of people I've been able to connect with and the community I've been able to build. And long story short, that's how we got here.
Oh, that's a great story.
Nice journey. That was a nice journey. So let's talk about reorg Rise of DAOs. You say you started it on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Still on LinkedIn.
Correct. Yeah, I spent like, about a year on Twitter. Twitter was a great information repository for me, but like my academic approach and I've never been a fan of social media, man. I've always been an in real life kind of person. It's just how I function, living in Las Vegas. It's a tourist town. Everybody goes out all the time. I'm extremely extroverted, right? And then COVID happens and, my work life changed. But then after being, kicked out per se, I was forced to this, crypto cave, I like to call it, but living, eating, breathing online. So I turned to social media outlets I never used before. Twitter was the first one, and I collected loads of great people that I followed to get great information, but I just never was able to catch or stick over there. And literally like kind of was down and out, man. Like really wanted to people to be able to understand like the academic underpinnings of what this technology is, and not just get rich quick schemes and dog coins and apes and whatnot. Like it's all great, don't get me wrong, like I support everything in the space, and I love seeing people create cool art and innovate, but at the end of the day, like I'm here to try and do what I can to innovate and utilize these technologies and ideologies that why they were made to drive change. So when I created that group, like I said, I didn't know what was going to come of it. Honestly, I kind of was using it at first just as a way to show my knowledge. And I wanted to work in Web3, and now I've got this crazy startup life, It wasn't until Melanie invited me out to Dubai to work with Superverse that I got finally to associate with a project that was known and, have some credibility behind it. But everything that I'm associated with too does, it's just not 4 years tenured in the space or anything like that. But yeah, I really just wanted to showcase my knowledge and network and kind of have it be just that. And the first two months roughly, it was real slow growth, but some cool key players joined. The DAO space is ever evolving, but Aragon, they're kind of like the DAO of DAOs, one of the first DAOs that deployed on Ethereum. And I was lucky to get a couple members from Aragon in there, and just little by little, credibility by credibility, just more and more people just started joining. And it's like, it's crazy. So I can name drop some people, but like the managing director of Morgan Stanley, just the head of innovation from Dutch Royal Shell Blockchain, the CEO and chairman of the East India Company, just crazy stuff. Like, and never in a million years did I think I'd be sharing breath and space with people that capacity.
This is proper inspiring, because I'm not somebody who's too familiar with social media myself. Like I got Instagram and things of that nature, but every time I've tried to grow it to a large scale, it's never really done it. But since I've been on LinkedIn, I mean, that's how we connected, was via LinkedIn. And it seems a lot easier to connect and to meet with people, especially within this Web3 blockchain space. It seems like people are open to have conversations.
that's the key. It's this space, right? I mean, and, it's even crazy. I don't want to put her on the spot, but the amazing woman Leah from Morgan Stanley, opens up and DMs me, and she's like, hey, yeah, I'm a banker, but I'm also an artist. Like, check out my NFT collection, and it just opened this dialogue instantly. Like, I didn't outbound, she saw me talking in the space. And it was just so cool to be able to have that kind of conversation. And most people can't like credify something of that capacity because it's not an everyday thing where somebody's just like, oh yeah, I'm talking to the director of Morgan Stanley, like no big deal, but
it's a big deal.
It really has.
It's a big deal.
I mean, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie, I fanboy a little bit. But yeah, man, it really, like, if I had a piece of advice to the follower base, for you guys, it really get on LinkedIn, even if you're, getting behind an NFT, you're not comfortable, your resume, whatever, isn't up to par, or so you think, right? Like Web3 is all about inclusivity, learning, co-collaboration and co-creation. Everybody's here trying to learn this stuff, understand it at the highest order. It's so confusing and it's so evolving, ever so fast now. I mean, that's the beauty of open source innovation, right? Like if you look at our old models, everything's patent protected, it's monopolistic. And in this space, it's open source and highly competitive. And really the best people and the best projects are the ones that are willing to listen to their communities, that can pivot, that, they're adaptable, and that are actually here for the right reasons, which is to, build community, to rally behind technology, to do good in the world. A lot of the best projects have a philanthropic component where they're really actually, trying to give back in some capacity. And that's honestly where, I really hope to see over the next, whether we have a bear market or not. I have my own opinions, again, that rebel theory and growing up with the internet, it really feels like the manipulation in these markets are just insane, because one minute you got dumps occurring, but then you got Apple over here talking about integrating crypto payments in Apple Pay. And then, we're dumping again. And then we got Uber CEO saying we're going to integrate payments for Uber. And it's like, are we adopting crypto, or is it falling apart?
It don't make sense. Yeah. What's the narrative you're pushing here?
Correct, right? And honestly, in my opinion, the narrative is it's coming. The mainstream institutions have clearly just laid their rails and foundations for them to run on. But the derivatives markets really control the world on everything. I think the last time, and it's like a year or two ago, I looked at like the global derivatives markets, it's like $4 quadrillion. Quadrillion. I mean, we're talking quantum finance here, dude. Honestly, like, and that's the way I like to look at crypto. Like, it has opened up the ability for value transfers globally, instantaneously, and these institutions, across every industry, they've done everything in their power to stymie and scare and push this back. But it's a dam that you're not going to be able to, keep walled up forever. This is the people doing what they can to educate themselves about how to be more self-sovereign, how to, best protect their own intellectual property, which is you as the human, and own your life. Really at the end of the day, like, that's my favorite component about Web3 is the ability for you to own your own life, not be reliant on other people, wanting to work with them, co-collaborate, do that kind of stuff, but not needing an institution or a media outlet to tell you how to behave. Like, if you just take the journey, you go on chain, you learn, and you see some of the stuff, man. I got my own financial literacy education from being a crypto DJ, literally losing lots of money, you're touching stuff, playing around, finding new projects. And it's just crazy that people are so scared. But it's an education thing, but to just go explore. Like, it's okay to fail, it's okay to mess up. It's okay not to win day one. It's okay to lose some money, but as long as you're doing it and trying to understand, because really the biggest thing at the end of the day is it's the philosophical component that I think holds a lot of people up. We're used to society being a particular way, and now all of a sudden, Web3 technologies kind of upend all of that. It really does.
Yeah. So you see the rise of the org DAO now. Do you guys have a native token as well? Did you build a native token on Aragon?
I've explored like every platform. The biggest thing is, I'm here for the long term, right? And as much as I've so close so many times to making a token and putting this thing on chain, there's always been something that came up that stopped me from doing it. And now, with the quality of people and the way I'm trying to approach things because of the people that are within the walls, I'm actually being congratulated for not doing that, because so many DAOs and projects fail because it's almost like that, like if you build it, they will come motto, but it's the project, right? And if you put the form, like the foundation on chain, and then you make it like, this is what it is, it's hard to like allow the organization to grow in correct capacity. And like a lot of projects are failing, especially in the DAO space, because no one's contributing, right? Like a lot of people bought the token to speculate, and maybe they show up to do governance, but more than likely they don't. And a lot of them are investment DAOs, 99% are just people pooling capital to buy resources, which is great, but I'd much rather see collective models where it's like microeconomic communities of value are banding together to weather these recessionary type of times through the pandemic. Like, I'd rather see 10 local coffee shops create a DAO to pool capital to have economies of scale when they're like purchasing, coffee beans or plastic cups or whatever, so they can weather this together as like-minded individuals, right? So that's honestly why I haven't done a token yet, is because I really want this to be about real world use cases and not just another cash grab, or have it created and then fail and then not be able to achieve what I was looking to get out of it, right? Which really, again, is educating people, giving them a platform to connect and network with each other, and learn about this stuff, and having these high level conversations where I've got people that are in the traditional finance and economic space that challenge and propose questions just within the group and counter banter, that teaches me stuff new every day, and now we've got, loads of doctors and economic and behavioral scientists and stuff like that. So it's like, we're really just trying to find the common ground between Web 2, Web 3, and I call myself a bridge asset a lot of times, because a lot of people that have built tech in Web 3, they're not extroverted. They're not from the old world. They're highly tech centric. They're geniuses in their own right, but they can't speak to somebody in the old world and articulate all this correctly, or find that commonality to get them to understand, or find that thing within the space, right? Which to me was DAOs. And that's why I thought LinkedIn was a perfect platform for it, was because it's business at the end of the day, at least the way I saw it, right? It's a different governance model. It's a flat organizational structure where employees can vote and be heard, and it's visible, and it's, immutable. It's on chain. Nobody can say that they didn't get a voice. You got a voice, and the community voted. This is what it is. It's not a top-down authoritarian order that we just have to take.
So with your DAO now, so what do people vote on? There's no governance token, so there's.
Well, that's the thing. Right now, it's just a community, man. It really just is a community. I mean, it's a community about DAOs and all thing Web3. But that said, I'm really close. We're working on some really cool projects, especially what I just recently found called DAO Lens. They're solving a really big problem in the space, which is the UI UX component, right, for participating in DAOs and understanding onboarding human capital into the space. Because like right now, a lot of DAO oriented tasks, there's a couple really good DAOs that are doing things right, like Bankless, Index Coop, where there's a revenue generating component that's not just, pooling capital to go speculate together. But even then, they have problems from a number of members to a number of participants component, right? And DAO Lens has really built this beautiful user experience to be able to onboard people from the regular business world and have it be in a public facing, skill oriented, upskilling capacity, and then just better organize how things get done. So we're working right now in conjunction to kind of lay that over the website that I have being built right now, because it's hard too, because a lot of the people within this community, they're working professionals, most of them. I would say probably 70% of the group are enthusiasts or upstart people that either are still working or just left the space, or just left Web 2, we'll call it, right? Or currently are still very much so entrenched in their normal lives and are just here to learn. So most of them aren't comfortable with Discord, right? And I don't feel like offboarding a LinkedIn community that it's highly participative, man. Like I actually had a guy who's a 10-year LinkedIn coach who's in our group. He literally, like, he did a training with me and I showed him all the analytics and he's like, man, this has never been done before. This level of participation and engagement in a group on LinkedIn, like this is unheard of, you know, and which was kind of shocking for me to kind of hear that. Cause I'm like, you know, yeah, we got like 950 people, maybe 50, 60 likes a post, 30, 40 comments, you know, I didn't see it, but again, really, when you look at it, like people do not use this platform for the most part outside of Web3 as a social media.
What's funny?
Right?
Someone even told me before. I had a meeting right with an investor before, maybe about a month or 2 months ago with my partner here, and he said to me, "I'm using LinkedIn wrong because like I'm treating it like it's Instagram or Twitter, and it's like this is not what you do here." But like I think we're coming and disrupting the space a little bit, and I think that's what you need to do here in order to change the game a bit. Yeah.
Dude, I'll tell you straight up. Like I literally, for a while, literally just ran around shooting emojis everywhere. Like the most unprofessional things you could do that you shouldn't do on LinkedIn. That's what I did. I mean, it's just it's my rebel approach to everything. Like shouldn't cuss, I cuss. Shouldn't use emojis. You shouldn't have a cartoon wizard as your profile picture. I mean, literally, I had the CEO and chairman of the East India Company add me when I had an 8-bit wizard picture, you know, and then now like LinkedIn's over here like shadow banning people and acting like, you know, you're violating the policy. And I mean, yeah, people signed up, they know like it's kind of in that fine print, but I mean, I've been literally scammed and had relationships wrecked by fake human profiles, right? So like when people have an NFT picture, it's almost like a green light that you're within the community, and also a green light for external people that are trying to learn, hey, this person's within Web3, you know, versus, I mean, the guy was a fake business development rep for one of the major exchanges, KuCoin, and hit me up, literally says he works at KuCoin. He's on the business page with other employees, come to find out he was a scam. And it wrecked a high profile relationship for me. And LinkedIn doesn't care about that, but we're over here banning, you know, NFT pictures. It's just, it doesn't make sense. It's really not, it's nonsensical. It's authoritarian for no reason. You know, I keep trying to call people to the conversation, LinkedIn help, you know, people that work there, and just to like open a conversation and a dialogue. Like it's asinine if you want to talk about it being a security issue, why are we not verifying our profiles? You know what I mean? Like, how do I know? I've literally like for 2 weeks, and I had too many professional things going on, but like I was just at wit's end. They banned my wizard picture, and I put my human picture back up for a little while, and then I was like, you know what? I literally just searched average white salesman on Google, grabbed a picture, put it on, put like a thug chain on him and a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, and for 2 weeks, no one bothered, no one cared. I had people add me. They thought it was me, you know, just to prove a point. And I'm just like, this is no better. This is no safer. You actually don't care about user safety. You actually just care about making us behave to your current rule structure, which doesn't make any sense. Really doesn't. And you're literally looking at ostracizing an entire user base that's highly participative, that's engaged, that has money, that's intelligent. Like, why? You know, why not? Like everybody else is integrating it. Why aren't you guys having that conversation? Right. So just another rebel capacity.
You can about this all day long because people are literally, everyone else is integrated. It doesn't make no sense why they're not. Because I just saw that YouTube is integrated the web. NFTs, where now
everybody's coming. Everybody's coming. And LinkedIn, I mean, they got, I forget the number, but a gigantic global user base. You know, and as this continues to progress, like they need to have a solution to this, because if you want to tell me somebody with an NFT profile picture doesn't happen to have any kind of credibility or belong here, I've met some people behind PFPs that are extremely well off, extremely powerful, extremely successful from other, you know, ventures in their lives. Like there's no reason to ostracize a community of people that want to use your platform. You know, that just doesn't make any sense to me.
Don't make sense. But just to go back to Rise of the DAOs again, So basically, people can come to your community, right? And I can find other people to pull together my funds with, and then we can grow like my idea, my project, or whatever it is. Like, or is it just
I mean, it could be anything of the above, right? Like if you could come in the community, make a post saying, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. right? Or I'm looking for DAOs that are investment oriented. And there's so many people that are literally on their way up and learning stuff that just love to contribute to the group. And you'll get your answer, right? That's the main point, right? It's like, no matter what it is, if you're willing to come in, participate, be vulnerable in a sense, and ask the question, right? Because at the end of the day, everybody that's been successful, they've had mentors. People need to be able to willing to humble themselves, come in, be a new guy, no matter what your position in the space is. Like, literally, managing director Morgan Stanley. Hey, you got anybody like help me out with NFTs? I have no reason for her to be talking to me aside from I want to learn about this new emerging technology, and I'm willing to admit that I'm new and I'm here to ask for guidance, right? So it's just crazy, man. Like, I just love being and the reception from the community has just been outstanding. Like, I literally just had a guy post yesterday about how this group changed his life, and it's been such a godsend for his project to be able to find all this kind of vetted talent in one place, because it's not a shill group, man. No one's out here pushing dog shit projects and just spamming the community. Like, every single post, anybody that posts, it's a high quality. It's a Forbes article, it's a Business Insider article, it's a breaking news from the financial world, it's the next hottest thing off the press DAO tool. It's the next innovative NFT technologies. I mean, it's just fantastic, man. And you got tenure, you got new innovative ideas, it's just everything, man. It really, and I'm just still so taken back. This whole process has been
I love the whole
such a
DAO
whirlwind.
thing. It's mind blowing now. This is like my favorite topic in the whole of the blockchain space, to be honest with you. I love how people can come together and just from all corners of the world and just be able to just bring their ideas to light. I think it's amazing. But like what to touch on something that you said earlier, you mentioned about the percentage of people that would essentially vote on the protocol. But like in the real world, it's going to be that high. What would be your rough estimate that you would expect?
Oh, I mean, I'm talking like, so this is the thing, like one of my favorite projects, Terra Luna. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Luna, but I watched proposals that were fantastic come to the community, but the way they set their governance structure, it literally inhibited their ability to move forward with innovative proposals because not enough people showed up to vote. You know what I mean? So many people bought a governance token for a blockchain ecosystem and don't even know what they have.
Yeah, exactly.
They just bought it because their friend told them.
Most people did. But I think when people get into crypto, they don't really know the use cases or the utilities of most of these things. Even myself, I've made mistakes like that and bought tokens literally and didn't even know about the governance part of it. Yeah. It's still very early as well, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everything's evolving, and there's going to be, I mean, that's the thing about this space, right? That's why I haven't rushed to make the community a real DAO. That's why I'm trying to be so tactful and thought-oriented about how I do this, because, at the end of the day, like, this is people's hard-earned money. This is, a revolutionary technology that if people just keep going to market and it just gives the media fodder to flood everything with. I'd rather be the use case and align with other use cases, which I'm doing with Superverse and Medium, and that's why we have the DAOstronaut to put on high quality projects and thought leaders in the DAO space. Because I'd much rather be on the other side, like laugh at me for not having a token, but at the same time, I mean, I got people I'm having conversations with that when we do tokenize this, we can literally, link arms and show the world like, hey, this is why DAOs are super powerful. Look at the things we're capable of manufacturing and producing out into the world. And look how happy the people that are using it are, because it's a community that came together on purpose with needed skills. Projects going towards decentralization is great, right? But to me, it's really more so about the organizational structure than it is decentralization. It's great in theory, right? Don't get me wrong. But for me, being in traditional, businesses and Fortune 500 companies and seeing the pain points, right? People want to be heard. People want to have voices that mean something within an organization and feel like their opinion matters, or they can control their own progressive future. And this really allows for that. And if they don't like it, guess what? They just leave. They don't got to go through a whole outboarding process and do all this stuff. They'll just go find the next project they want to contribute to. Or like myself, I joke. over this time, it's been fun, man, watching, and working with so many geniuses and seeing where like soft skills meets hard skills, and then that weird duality and dynamic of it, because it's not something they register, and it's not, me not having hard skills per se, but only having soft skills. I've gotten in a few spats, and I've watched, fellow geniuses get in spats and stuff like that. And there was a day where, I was just real frustrated, and I changed my profile and I rewrote my bio, and I'm like, I'm a decentralized autonomous officer. Like I work for Web3. I want to just give as much of my skills that I've seen are necessary on a lot of projects to as many that I can. And, now I'm kind of in this position where I'm doing like advisory and DAO to DAO relations, like, community building, but also connecting and linking people together. That way I can literally, stay free and not be owned by one company or another, but contribute value to as many places as possible, and that's kind of, the decentralized officer model, where it's like, you can actually provide value to multiple companies that, they're, as long as. Yeah, man. I mean, it's just, at the end of the day, like, this community, it's just, I'm so glad that it exists, because there's so many communities on LinkedIn that are either strictly business oriented or just, culture oriented. That are like, Wagami, let's go, good morning every day, which is, it's great. Don't get me wrong. But, I really do feel like this is the premier community on LinkedIn for professionals to both be able to be themselves, be free, contribute, learn from each other, and then also have these super high level, intelligent conversations, right? So at the end of the day, it's just like, if anybody's looking to join, I'll shoot you a link after. It's literally just as simple as, click the link, hit request to join.
I mean, you clicked me, you sent me.
Oh, I know you're in.
Yeah, I
know you're in. Yeah, it's that easy, man. And we're looking to, like I said, we're looking to offboard and actually create some formalized DAO structures and some sub DAO framework, and put some, some formality to this. Because right now, again, it's just free for all networking, contribute, meet and greet. But it's like I said, there's very few badges in the crypto community where it's like people can automatically kind of have a way in to talk to somebody, but like, to Morgan Stanley, to Leah, literally I've got people that are like friends with her now, that never would have been able to connect with her had it not been for this group, so it's like, if you see your mutual member, it's just a great opening line, like, hey, I see you're also a member of reorg, I saw a post of yours, or I'm in here learning too. It's been such a journey. So it's a great connection mechanism, and that's why I'm not like in a super rush to formalize it or offboard it to Discord or anything like that, because I really just want this to continue to grow organically and just be a place people can come in whatever capacity they have available and learn and have it be at a high level. I mean, we don't even curate the content from like an admin perspective. It just, you could post. I mean, I've never had to delete one thing. I never had to kick one person out. The community governs itself. It's really just like a social experiment, and people coming together around a topic and then watching it evolve, and contributing in a meaningful way, without formality. Like, there's no, I think my only rules are like, respect each other, respect each other's opinions, and that's about it. Seriously, like,
anyone can come on there and post their content.
Yeah. And it's weird because it's like, I never done any outbound marketing with the group. I really, like I said, I try to make it extremely organic, in the sense where it's like, if you found my profile and you scrolled through it, right, like you went on a information quest, there's one original post that says like, I created this group and why, and this and that. And everything else has just been outbound, industry oriented, but everybody brings their friends and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just,
that's so sick.
It's just crazy, man.
You brought a DAO to LinkedIn. How innovative!
Essentially,
yeah. Basically, you turn your LinkedIn page into a DAO. That's crazy.
And, I would love for LinkedIn to see it that way and want to co-collaborate in some capacity. That'd be great.
Okay. I just want to play devil's advocate.
Absolutely.
I know both of you are very DAO, that go DAO, but for me personally, I do think even with yourself, yeah, it's up to you when you want to actually decide for the community to get a governance token, for instance. So
Correct.
in that aspect, I still feel like it's still sort of centralized to a certain extent, if you get what I'm saying, because
Agreed.
you're the person that created it, and you still have a say in how this community goes and how it ends up.
Correct. Like, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you, man. Like, and that's kind of one of the fun arguments, right, in the space right now is so many people like to use the word decentralization, and honestly pretend like they know what it means in the capacity from a decentralized network, right, of nodes that no one single point can fail and drop the entirety of the network, right? Like, that's what it's really about. To me, the decentralized component when it comes to the working piece is just, you know, flattening the organizational structures, right? It's the allowing the ability, because I mean, think about it. What business have you ever worked at where they pull employees for the next thing that they want to do? Very few, right? And ones that do, they're small businesses that are ran by good people that want to have buy-in from their individuals. But that's also why, like, I have 13 people that are admins, right? Like, I literally have given ownership of the group to six or seven of the 13. And then of the 13, you know, we all have permission to delete posts, invite people in, admit people in. There's 6 people that could kick me out of my own group, you know, if they really wanted to. So there's a little bit of layer of that, but to your point, the biggest component, in my opinion, is understanding that it does have to start with a degree of centralization, because and my view of what a DAO should be, right, is it's a business, it's a for-profit entity. So not having sound leadership or a leader figure, it sets your organization up for failure, because you've got a bunch of people that don't know why they're together. Right. So if somebody doesn't set the vision, the roadmap, the culture for the organization and what we're here to do and what we're here to accomplish, like it's never going to stick. Right. But the fact that the community can vote, and, you know, that's the funnest part to me is looking at new and unique ways to incentivize people to participate. Right. Because at the end of the day, these are psychology experiments in human behavior. Right? Like, how can I best incentivize people to participate and work in a meaningful way that brings them joy and gratification and intrinsic and extrinsic values in the form of money, but then also pride and, you know, other things like that. And to me, it's just fun being in the space and participating. And it's sad watching things that have so much potential not have those things, or have the wrong person, right? I won't go into the project, but just recently, you know, there was a big calamity of sorts about a person that probably had no business running a treasury based on past dealings, but said leader let him do it anyway.
I think we know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not saying nothing.
I was actually invested in that project, right? And they took some money away from they took some funds out of my wallet. So I know exactly what you're saying.
But then, you know, too. Yeah, but then too, you know, at the end of the day, it's like said person allowed that governance or allowed that individual in, but then the community still behind said person, which is quite astronomically mind-bending to me. Like, huh? You know, so that it really just shows me that, again, like at the end of the day, people are getting involved with things they don't understand. They're you know, aping in. It's investment oriented, not participation oriented. So that's why I'm trying to set a standard of like, look, I want people to understand what it is that's going on. I want them to know what they're contributing to. I want them to be able to know who they're working with, the skills that they have. I want to be able to have educational components. I want to be able to have all the resources necessary for anybody at any level to come in, contribute, learn, grow, start something. And it's getting to that point. It really is, right? So it's going to be fun, man. This year is going to be, you know, revolutionary in my world, and hopefully in the world of many others that are within the group.
Yeah, so to piggyback kind of what you said and to kind of combat what you were saying, and basically, I would see it as in a way where like the business has to start centralized, right? And then
correct.
So when companies they do initial public offerings. That's what I would see the Web3 version of becoming a DAO. That would be the new version of initial public offerings. You turn your company into a DAO, then you release it. But in the beginning, yeah, you kind of have to have some structure and I think there's guilds in place. They put in guilds and there's certain team members and they let people run certain protocols, which are all interchangeable. People can vote who's the team leader and who's not the team leader. Like you said, you can be voted to be kicked off of your own LinkedIn page.
Absolutely. It's merit based. It becomes a meritocracy at some point, right? It's like, I'm not being left in a leadership position. Like my governance models, right? They're performance oriented. I don't care how long you've been at this DAO. If you suck, or if you start saying shit that does not align or is just completely wackadoodle and starts making us look bad, guess who's going to vote you out of that role? Your peers, right? And think about how many managers wouldn't be managers, especially in the middle layer, if their employees could vote them the hell out, right? But think about how many more people would actually progress or try harder to continue to upskill and be a better human if they knew that was on the table.
That's true.
But one thing, yeah, right? So you know me, I'm behind the DAOs fully, right? But there's only one thing I would say. So here's one. So when they give, it's 1 token per 1 vote, correct?
It depends on the model, honestly. Like, again, that's where I think there's, I'm looking at like layered models, right? Because again, like with Luna, if you have a set parameter and the community doesn't show up to do their due diligence, should that actually limit your company's ability to progress and innovate? I don't think so. I think there should be models to where there's fail safes in governance, to where there's people that are qualified advisors per se, that if the community doesn't show up to participate, then it goes to an uneven vote where it couldn't end in a tie, and people can progress things forward, and they're voted in positions by the community because they know who it is and the credibility that individual has, and not just some Twitter following number or whatever it might be that gives them clout.
So you wouldn't base it on like some of these DAOs that we were speaking about earlier. So they give you reward based, right? So you get your tokens, and obviously that increases your governance. The more tokens that you have, the more for that protocol, so the more rights you would have. So let's say now I've got like 25,000 tokens and someone else has 10 tokens. I've still got more rights than that person does, correct?
Per se, I mean, that's a model I'm actually not really a fan of, right? Because that's a buy your way in and own a lion's share of decisions. And if you're running a for-profit business that gets, properly seed rounded and you got the right teams around you that's looking to solve an innovative problem and disrupt an industry, you're going to be turning profits, right? And you would want an equitable vote. You wouldn't want somebody to be able to come in and dictate because they have bags of money. That's the old world scenario, right? But that's where, again, these are the investment DAOs that we're talking about, in my opinion, that have those models. Because in that capacity, do you want a poor person with 10 tokens dictating the direction of your multi-billion-dollar treasury? Probably not. Probably not. You know what I mean? I personally wouldn't. If I had accumulated a mass amount of wealth and pooled it with a bunch of other wealthy people, I wouldn't want somebody who literally just found out about this yesterday that works at 7-Eleven having the same degree of merit within this organization. But that's why I like some models where, like, I don't even know if I'm making these up or they're just in my head, but like a participate to earn governance model where it's like you can earn your ability to have maybe a higher weighted score, but not like a 25,000 to 1 kind of weight, like a 1.5 to 1 type of deal, because you've showed up, you've done work for the DAO, you're vested, and you've earned more governance capacity, right? Like these are the fun models we're looking at innovating in the way work gets done. Because, as somebody who's been a top performer in different organizations, my voice, I felt like should have carried more weight than my guy that's next to me that shows up 10 minutes late every day, that, been here a year. Why should he be able to dictate something when I've invested so much time into an organization and become an expert in my per se field or position? I don't think that's fair either, right? Because so we're really, again, we're talking about organizational behavior theory, right? I mean, throw crypto tokens on top of it, throw this and that on top of it. Really, what it should be about is reorganizing the way humans work together. And the way we reward each other, the way, we recognize each other, and the way we collaborate together.
Okay, so you're saying so in your DAO now that you would potentially make, there'd be no way of buying in. It would only be work to earn, participation and then earn it.
I think so. I mean, I wouldn't say that in a per se manner either. I just don't necessarily say that you'd have more governance than another individual or not, right? Because if you think about it, right, if there's a decentralized finance component to it and you want to invest in the organization, you shouldn't be limited to one share of a company. That's a little socialistic or communistic in a sense too, but I don't want the governance ability to be diluted by money. I'd much rather it be, controlled by performance and tenure than like financials. But if there's like a sub DAO component, right? Say there's an investment, I don't necessarily want people that are impression mining on Twitter that don't have a finance background dictating the financial future of an organization either. I'd like them to be able to have a voice within their realm, but that's where I really like DAO sub DAO framework. And it's similar to like a parent company and shell companies, right? In the normal model, but in those ones, people sometimes don't even know who they're owned by. There's so many layers of bureaucracy. Nobody in a third down the line company is going to have any say in what the holding company or the parent company gets to do, right? But if you have sub DAO framework, it rolls up, and there's certain decisions that should only be made by qualified individuals, and there's certain decisions that should be organizationally wide. So it's going to be fun working through all this. But again, that's why I much rather wanted to collect the human capital that's qualified to drive these kind of decisions and be a credible expert that people would be willing to listen to, rather than a bunch of dudes fighting on the internet about who's got more clout, who's got more Moonboy bags, whatever. I don't want that. Dick, that's toxic, in my opinion.
I get you. So you built your credentials to now have a voice within the DAO space. So now you're a reputable person.
Correct. Or you come in from your professional career, publicly facing with like an NFT resume. And, I'm more inclined to listen to somebody that's been a managing director of a gigantic financial institution when it comes to financial projections out of my business than somebody who was a graphic designer for 10 years at Nike. All opinions are valuable, right? Because sometimes creativity and voices from different sides of the line are necessary to innovate. But at the end of the day, I mean, if I'm voting and I hear a proposal from X person and Y person, I'm probably going to lean towards X. Or if Y person brought something good to the table, but the rest of it was nonsense, maybe I'll counter propose, right? That there's an integration that needs to occur, or we'll abstain the vote to kind of rally around. And, it's going to be fun, but, I feel like it's a necessary evil, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're here to actually drive meaningful change, these are the kind of conversations that matter. If you're here to speculate and get rich, best of luck to you. Yeah. Loads of people have done it, and I hope you do. If you're not, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, but that's anything, man. Like penny stocks. Like, I mean, people trying to get rich on penny stock. It's no different. It comes down to the human capital in the organization. You can have the best idea on earth, but if you got the wrong people in the organization that's trying to pull it off, they're going to fail. Yeah. Or they're competing in an industry they don't belong in because they have no credibility. They don't understand it. Again, you can be the best, nicest, most intelligent people in your field, but if you go from that field to this field and you're going to be able to compete and you don't understand, you're going to fail. So really, again, at the end.
So then with saying that, because obviously we were saying earlier that you reckon there's going to be what's actually happening now, there's a small percentage of people who are actually voting on the governance and the protocol, right? So don't
correct. From what I've seen.
Yeah, but those are the people who are dedicated to the project. Wouldn't you want those people to actually? You would want a small percentage instead of the larger community, because like you said, you don't want someone from 7-Eleven who doesn't know much about the business. You would want, even if he does work in 7-Eleven, right? But he's taken actual time.
There's plenty of smart people, like correct. But really, I think what it comes down to though is like the way you design the governance, like the governance mechanisms that actually progress the organization forward, right? Because what I've seen for the most part, it's like you want to set parameters, 70% vote to pass. Well, okay, when you first have a team of 100 core contributors, 70% is easy to obtain. But as you scale and you have a token, right? And that's where, again, the token model, I really only feel like should exist within organizations that actually drive value. Like if there's no real world underpinning value, it's a giant pyramid scheme, in my opinion. Like People aren't going to like hearing that, but I'd much rather see like an NFT that you earn to govern with as a badge versus a token in a model that, you know, because again, as you bring the token, you bring speculators. There are people that are literally just there to try and make money on this, not participate, right? So it's like, that's why I really like progressive decentralization, because like to your point, man, it has to start centralized. If you're an organization that's starting centralized and your goal is literally to rip yourself apart and give the governance to the employees, how many people you see doing that in the regular world? None. Zero.
Yeah, that's a problem.
They're literally, their goal is to put together something that was semi-decentralized, small, grow it so big that they can then get bought by Wall Street and then literally be so centralized they have no control of their own organization anymore. It's a complete different ideology. It's literally inverse, right? So again, maybe that's why I like it so much, because it's so counterintuitive to what, you know, the world's got today. But I don't know, I look around and things could be better, you know, things could be ran more efficiently. Time to try something different. That's the way I see it.
So I got two questions, right? I want to know how, so for a startup company, so like for ourselves, right, with that Play Store, so how would, obviously we know that we're going to eventually become decentralized. How would you say, what journey should we take in order to do that? And then let's say there's another big company like Coca-Cola now, how would they now become decentralized?
Decentralized.
That's
interesting you say that.
Revenue.
Interesting question, right? So it's like, I feel like for you guys, right, we'll start with you, right? The biggest part really, truly is just, don't rush in, right? Be open and be fluid, right? And it's like, you can speculate, you can have speculative value, you can raise capital in a crowdfunding capacity, right? Because that's what an ICO, an IDO, that's what that is. You know, it's a new model of crowdfunding. Right? Do you have a cool, innovative idea? Can you make a cool product that needs to come to market? And now we're circumnavigating the traditional bureaucracies that say, this is how you're supposed to do it. And we're looking to do it ourselves in our own way, right? Rushing into a DAO, I think, is the biggest thing people could do to fail. Because again, you don't have the, I don't think, you have to have the community first and have that clear mission before you could even attempt to want to let people have dictatorship over how things go, right? So my biggest piece of advice to a startup in the space, have it on the roadmap. Study, you know, what fellow people in the space have done, know the tools that exist, build in some model that allows for at least polling, right? Like engage your community, let them help you drive, right? Because some of the best projects there, they listen to their communities. What do my customers want? I mean, it's you know, customer research 101, you know, what are the people that are going to buy or use my services? What do they want from us? You know, how can we best do this together, right? Co-create, collaborate. You know, and if that's your goal and you're doing it for the right reasons, you'll end up in a decentralized capacity. And maybe it won't be fully, but not everything needs to be fully decentralized either. You know, there's great products that can roll out and innovate that don't have to be DAOs. You know, they don't. They can just be companies. Yeah. You know, they can have the traditional model, but they'll probably have a sweet revenue sharing component. They'll probably have a sweet passive income model, like whatever it may be. There's gonna be reasons why people are gonna want to hang on to that thing, and it's gonna drive real world value. And I think as long as you're engaged with the community and open and honest and looking to innovate, and you'll get to where you need to be. And who knows, the way we're talking about open source tech, this shit innovates every day, every minute, every hour. You know, as more people come into the space, like I think the idea of planting a solid flag at inception, that's a method to fail, in my opinion. Like you literally should look to integrate and you know, bring the right people in and stay fluid and be able to pivot. And even if you do put something in that's formalized, be prepared to light it on fire. Yeah. You know what I mean? It might be great today, but in 2 months, it might be total dog shit. So are you prepared to light that $1 million investment you just made on fire to stay relevant? You should be. Yeah. In my opinion, it shouldn't just be like, oh, we just paid $1 million. We have to keep this piece of shit. No. Now stop on it. And go. And I think that's where, to your second question, that's what's going to be the hardest thing for a company like Coca-Cola to try and decentralize. It won't happen. I I think they're going to try and stay relevant as long as they can. They're going to throw lobbying dollars at, stymieing the growth of this. They're going to talk shit on it, create more fake ass employee programs that no one really actually gets behind, or understands the true meaning of it. They're just hot air, really at the end of the day, they're wasting time.
This is what I think, right? I agree with that, because I was thinking about this for a little while, because I've done some research in Aragon, right? And I was thinking, how would these big institutionalized companies become DAOs? Why would they do it when they've got such a strong revenue share? And what would make sense? But what would make sense, because you said something, elaborating to this earlier when you mentioned the sub DAOs. So I wouldn't say that Coca-Cola should turn their whole company to a DAO, but I think they should have. Yeah.
Almost like an R&D, like re-innovating your R&D department, right? A lot of the, like a trendy thing in the space is XYZ labs, right? Labs. Everybody's got labs, think tanks, engineers, whatever it may be, but having a component that's within your business that, maybe looks to eventually understand and integrate pieces of stuff. Because when you talk about a DAO, we'll break the words down. Decentralized is a big sticking point, but when you have an autonomous organization, I'm also a big, in the camp of efficiency, right? Like that was one of the things that drove me the most nuts about the last place I was at, is the level of efficiency was zero, man. They're literally like making people do tasks that should be automated. They should be, like delegated. They should be offshored, because at the end of the day, there's so many people on this planet that need work. There's so many better ways to optimize it, use human capital and capture more creativity and drive productivity, other than cracking a whip at somebody and telling them do it for job security. You know what I mean? There was a point in time where I was so frustrated to like administrative paperwork tasks. I'm like, you paying me 6 figures to file paperwork or to go negotiate with a freaking casino that's imploding right now? Yeah. It was asinine. I was almost at the point where I was willing to pay out of my own pocket on a weekend to hire a secretary or some shit. You know what I mean?
Oh my days. So how do you feel about VC back DAOs? Because I feel like VC, venture capital, I think when they're gonna want majority of the share, like the same way, I can see how they're gonna try to manipulate it a little bit.
You got me on my favorite topic. So this is the way I see it though, right? This is a co-collaborating space, right? I've got some great VCs that I'm close with, that are in the community. And I think what they're starting to see, right? And one of the companies I'm associated with, Borealis Blockchain Alliance, this is one of the biggest things we've sought out to change is, there's a voluntaristic component or there's a co-collaboration component, right? And somebody asked me this question the other day in the group, or there was an article that was posted about VCs backing DAOs now all of a sudden. And yeah, it's their traditional business model. They're here to make money, but at the same time, think about how many people there are on this earth that are talented enough from a development and engineering perspective to create Web3 products that are viable, and B, that understand ethos and application and theoretics of Web3. You're not going to be like, you're buying humans at this point, right? Like you're buying the human capital within the organization. You're not buying a business model. This isn't every human knows the same thing and it's who's got the best business plan and revenue streams. It's who's the brightest collection of human capital with the best rounded skill sets. And if you want to invest in me, this is my deal, right? So it's more of like, and you're even seeing it, right? There was a post I saw the other day. It was like Web 2. Artists can't wait to get deals from brands. Web 3, brands can't wait to partner with artists. It's the same concept. If you want to venture fund me, because I can go run an IDO, make a token, crowd fund my own shit. But if you want to back me, I want a progressive declination of equity. I want you to, as I pay you back, right? Because you're here to make money. Let's come to the table and negotiate a creative deal. I want you to end up having the same amount of governance as everybody else. Maybe you control some equity, maybe you get more of a revenue share, but from a decision-making perspective, I'm not going to let you dictate that shit. My community, this is made a particular way, and I'm going to stick to my guns about it. Otherwise, you don't like my deal? That's the way I see it. Now, is everybody going to adhere to that? Probably not. Probably not, but at the end of the day, if you want to stay relevant in this space, you want to grab great human capital now, do you really have a choice? You know what I mean? And that's one fun part with Borderless Blockchain Alliance is we've really collected some of the best, on-chain hard-skilled developers, engineers to kind of strangle the human capital market from quality of production, right? So I think that's where it's going to be fun is it's like, you want to be a VC in the space, you want to come in, you better be given fair deals, you better be actually looking to have something built quickly that can go to market that's done instead of models where it's, hey, we'll give you a little bit for shitloads of equity and then, oh, you couldn't find a team, well, come on back, now I own half your shit. Yeah. Right? That model is terrible. And unfortunately, it's prevalent, right? Because the space is so innovative, so unknown, so few people control it that most people that want to have an innovative idea built, they don't even know what they're getting into until half their company's equity's gone and they've got an MVP that's still not done and they got to go ask for a third seed round.
Yeah, I know. It's nonstop. So what do you think about the on-chain and off-chain revenues from the DAO?
I think any DAO that's going to be successful has to have an in real life component, and they also have to integrate a decentralized finance component. There needs to be correct, right? And like one of the ones that I'm, closely associated with, they're designers from the post Web 2 fallout, right? They're people that can make high quality NFTs. But they also have, in real life tangible components that they can bring to market. They can seed the sale of personal brand with wearables and 3D printed objects and shoes and, you name it. So it's like, there is a tangible component to it. There's a touch feel take home versus, a speculative token.
Yeah, that's a better way to do it. I definitely feel like once people can pull together, I was watching something the other day and I saw even like as a DAO, people can. So this is what I really like about your community, right? Because there's a pool of wide variety. So there can be so many different off-chain projects that can be built from the on-chain. So like there could be people who come who want to just do finance, some people who want to do, like you said, clothing and retail, some people who might want to sell makeup, whatever it may be. There's so many people within your community. They can come together, find their community within your community, and then essentially even pull their own money together and then go and build a shop outside. And then now all the percentage comes back and it gets split within the token revenue. So I think it's a great, I think the off-chain to on-chain thing is amazing.
Sorry,
honestly,
sorry to cut you, bro. How many people are in your community?
Currently, I think the last number I just looked at was like we're at like 940, right? But if you think about it, there's some communities 30,000, 40,000 plus. But again, when you look at it from engagement, quality of individuals, quality of projects within the walls, so it's like you're dealing with experts in their field, And again, if I start ever doing like this, is the first podcast I've done, right? I've had quite a few speaking engagements, but I've been busy, man. I've been literally fighting every day, sleepless nights, 2-3 hours of sleep globally, right? Like, Dubai's a 12-hour time flip from Vegas. So, most of my favorite people on this planet would wake up and become, in a functional capacity for me to speak to from 11 p.m. to 4 in the morning. And then I still had a normal life I needed to try and live in Las Vegas. It was, man, it's been a crazy year, dude, especially the last 5-6 months while I've immersed myself heavily, not just in an educational component, but hands-on deck, learning, contributing, advising, networking. It's crazy, man. This is a nonstop global beast. And, the one thing that I've found throughout all of this is everybody's got such a similar story, man. Top quality, burnout, disenfranchised, wouldn't quit, willing to sacrifice their last dollar for their ideals and beliefs and want to change the world and innovate things that are broken that meant something to them for XYZ, event that occurred in their life. And it's just like, man, I've had so many phone calls with people and I'm like, are we best friends now? Like, we just talked for an hour, but now we're best friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just nuts.
All right, so kind of to wrap up, right? It's my last question, really. So question doesn't even really make sense because I was gonna say everything's big on NFTs. And I was going to say, do you think this is the year of the DAOs? It's sort of not always the ending question, but DAOs is what made NFTs so big in the first place, because that's what's behind the Ball Club and the Lava Labs is what's behind CryptoPunk. So it's kind of like.
You're right? Like the best projects had a DAO component, but nobody knows about it, right? So I do think this will be by the end of the year into 2023, DAOs will be in the same conversations globally that NFTs are in currently, right? Because in my world, all roads lead to DAOs, whether you're a token, whether you're, a co-op, whatever you want to call it, an NFT project, you should be leaning towards decentralized governance structures and creating more efficient organizations to increase revenue, man. At the end of the day, like that's the part, like, traditional corporations are always about their bottom line, but they're trimming it in the wrong ways, right? Now we have this innovative technologies that literally can do those things, and they're not even looking at it because they're only, pigeonholed to their previous models. Exactly. So it's going to be fun being a part of watching this stuff explode and being a thought leader. I mean, I don't really like that term, but at the end of the day, like I have to embrace to some capacity that, I didn't want to believe that, man. Like I try to be a humble person, but coming over to LinkedIn and some of the things that have occurred, like it'd almost be irresponsible of me to not in some capacity, like at least own like what I say is valuable and holds weight to people. Like if I chose to have a bad day and, go on a rampage, it might affect the lives of other humans. Which before it wasn't a thing. Like I had my small sphere of influence, and now all of a sudden I've got a much larger one. Yeah. So just crazy, man. Like it's going to be a fun next decade, sifting through the corporate media and the people that are actually here building stuff and watching that smash together and what comes of it.
Yeah. Tyler, I could do this all day with you. I'll be honest with you.
Me too, man.
I got lots of more questions, I'll be honest, but I'm sure we'll have another meeting again. We'll do this again, probably 6 months or something like that, catch up, see where everything's going along. And because I got a lot more stuff I want to ask you, I'll be honest. We're probably going to have a conversation off of this anyway. So we'll keep
100%, man. My DMs are always open. The only thing I'll say is just, if I miss you, be persistent. You know what I mean? Because like, dude, I get like 50, 60 messages a day, and I don't mean to, leave people on red or not even open their messages, but I kind of like I go where the energy flows, right? Like tension goes where energy flows or something in that capacity. I forget the quote, but yeah, man, like doors always open. Feel free to post in the community. Please bring anybody you want on over. And let's just keep growing this thing and having the good conversations that need to be had, man. I appreciate the work you guys are doing too,
Well,
thank you, Tyler, man. It's been a pleasure having you.
Yeah, big pleasure.
You guys as well.
Thanks for coming.
I appreciate you having me on, man. Seriously, thank you.
Thank you, man. And yeah, all our listeners and viewers, all of his socials will be down at the bottom. You can jump in and reorg and join this DAO and definitely bring some thought-provoking stuff. This is a wonderful conversation. Looking forward to doing it again. Thank you, Tyler, my brother.
Absolutely, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye.
Yes, my people, thank you for watching another episode of That Play Store podcast, where we got to have another great conversation and dive in a little bit deeper into the world of blockchain. If you enjoyed it, head over to our website, That Play Store, where you can learn a bit more about decentralized applications. Join our Discord so you can keep updated with our DAO, NFTs, airdropping tokens, and merchandise. We also suggest you follow our Twitter for all That Play Store updates. We've got more episodes coming, so don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. Thank you for watching, and don't forget this is not financial advice, so do your own research and do your. Thank you again, and we'd love to have you on our journey. This is That Play Store.